Hey guys, it's Liz from Blue and Hazel, and today I'm so excited to show our homeschool routine to you because that's something that I know it's just really helpful when you are trying to get an idea of like the flow of your day, what it looks like. It can just be really nice to see what other people are doing that works. So if you're new here, I have a third grader, second grader, kindergartner, and a 1.5-year-old. And so this is my first year homeschooling 3 kids. Like, we've homeschooled my oldest since he was in kindergarten, but this is our first year trying to kind of juggle and balance 3 different kids' curriculums. And so we do a lot of family style curriculum where we're reading out loud. So that does kind of help where like we're knocking out 2 things at once. History is that way for us. Nature studies / science is that way for us. And our language arts is actually combined because we use Brave Writer. So their literature guides are kind of the base of our language arts, and my kids can be combined for that. Then I have my kindergartner who needs me for everything. He doesn't really have any independent work, and so I really have to work with him whenever I can, usually when the toddler is napping. That just has been the time when I can mentally feel like I can give him my all, and instead of trying to rush it through and then having, our math manipulatives out and the baby comes along and, wants to throw them and stuff. So in order to kind of keep me from getting frustrated, that's when we've done it. Now, on the occasional day when my toddler is doing awesome and maybe he's happy with a little show, or maybe the older kids are playing with him really nicely, we might try to get my kindergartner stuff done before the toddler naps. Ideally, that's like my goal because then I can have nap time for myself. But right now, we're just kind of squeezing that in during nap time. And it doesn't take super long, maybe 30, 45 minutes. But let's go ahead and dig into what our routine looks like. So I have these sheets that I printed out, and I have one for my third grader, one for my second grader, one for my kindergartner. Now, my kindergartner doesn't really need one. He kind of just knows he has to do his math and his reading lesson every day, and handwriting sheet, and then he plays the whole day. That's his day. I just made one so that I can show you, but he really doesn't read his list or care about his list. He knows what he has to do each day. I want to say a shout out to Ashley over at Grace and Grit. If you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, please do. It's awesome. But she has 4 homeschooled kids that are a little bit older than mine. And so I was watching just how they homeschool because we were really struggling with finding a routine this year with 3 kids. It was really overwhelming for me to just figure out, how do I get this all done? And honestly, for most of the year we've been tweaking it, and there was just no real rhyme or reason to it. It was just like, okay, toddler's happy, your turn for math. Toddler's happy, your turn for math. Like, okay, now we can go on to reading out loud, and then we get interrupted halfway through. Okay, well, we got to stop that, and then we come back when we can. And I don't know, it's just really chunky. And so we spent a lot of time doing schoolwork in chunks whenever I'm available. But I feel like the kids have really benefited from kind of knowing what to expect and really wanting to know, like, what do I have to do today to be done, Mom? And so that's where these sheets have come in. And I got this idea from Ashley and really, really like it. So this helped me to take the routine that we've been practicing and also what's in my head, which is just too much. I needed to have it written down on paper. So this has taken what's in my head and what we've been doing, putting it on paper so that the kids can look in their binders and see everything they have to do that day to be done. It also really helps me to know what each kid has to do to be done. All right, so let's go ahead and dig in and see what is on here. I have a 9 o'clock start time, and it's really the only time that I have set. I do not like homeschooling with like, this is what we do at 9, this is what we do at 10. I've never done that, and I think it would drive me nuts because I'm not a scheduled person. However, with 3 kids and a lot to fit in a day now, I feel like we have to have some kind of routine. And so I was taking a long time to get started in the mornings, and if the kids were happily playing, I was just kind of feeling like I wasn't being very disciplined in starting our school days. And then it could be like 10, 10:30, 11 before I'd even get started. And I needed something really like concrete, like this is when we start our day. They needed something a little bit more structured, I feel like. because it was like a surprise every day, like, oh, we're gonna start school, oh, you know. And so it's like now that we had as soon as we set a start time, it felt like things were different. They just knew the expectation, like, oh, this is school time, not this is mom calling us over, surprise, we have to start now, bummer time. And so that really helped. So 9 o'clock is our time where we all come together on the couch and I read through kind of what I call our Bible time. Some people will call this morning basket. You might basically just like a clump of stuff that we do all together on the couch first thing. For us, what that looks like is we do our Egermeyer's Bible story, one new one, whatever the next new one is, we read it. And we sing one hymn, and this is a new hymn every day. We just pick one. We're doing that. Then we are doing, I bought this like pack of art cards. So we pick out one picture and I just read the back of it, and it says the name of the painting, it says who painted it, when it was painted, and then I say, what do you notice about this picture, and what do you think the artist was trying to tell us when he made this picture? And so that's pretty much it. And then we move on to our memory verse. Now then we move on to a chapter of our read aloud book. So I usually always have a read aloud book going. This is just kind of the time where I know, okay, I'm gonna fit a chapter in here, and then sometimes we'll fit a chapter in the afternoon or whenever else, but they kind of know like, okay, mom's gonna do a read aloud. This often is like our DART book that we do with Brave Writer. And then after that, people are getting really squiggly and generally speaking, we take a little play break, maybe like 30 minutes, sometimes longer than that, depending. Then I call them back over and I grab our history. I don't really need to put down which lesson ahead of time because we just flip to the next day's lesson. And like I never write down, oh, we're on, you know, day 23. It's just I flip and do the next day's lesson. So, and then we roll into our Brave Writer language arts. Now this is really relaxed and it's also not independent. So a lot of people will have like a worksheet type language arts program where their kids can have that independent work time. The only independent work thing that I'm really seeing with the Brave Writer darts are the Monday copy work. And so each day that we do it, we talk about a concept inside of the literature guidelines. And if you're interested in that, I have a couple videos on how we do that. We've loved the DART language arts literature guides, and I've used them for about 2 years now. So I won't go into that in this video, but it is a little bit different what we do each day for language arts. Okay, I've chosen to break this down into what we do each day for language arts because we have Monday copy work, Tuesday, Wednesday we do grammar, Thursday is poetry. Sometimes we'll work on like a writing project that we're working on instead of that. And then Friday, we've picked up a new habit from Julie at Brave Writer doing Friday free writes, which is basically just 10 minutes in their journals of whatever they want to write about, or I can give them a writing prompt. Okay, the next part that we move on to is we take a break and then we come back and we do math. Now, math is something where my oldest in 3rd grade is pretty independent. He likes to work through his math on his own. And sometimes there's a few things like I feel like I look through the teacher's guide and I ask him a few questions, mainly because Singapore math style is about like helping lead the kids to their answers and help. But for the most part, he wants to be independent. He does it really independently, and when he has questions, he asks. And so he can really just take out his math worksheet out of his binder, do that independently. My 2nd grade daughter is using Math with Confidence. We love that program. It's a little more hands-on with me. So I will say, you know, it doesn't take as much time, I feel like, as we could take because I'll oftentimes skip some of the review if she's like clearly understands the questions they're asking. Other times it's like, we'll just do the little game and then she will do the rest of her worksheet. It's a front and back worksheet at 2nd grade level. And so both of them can do their math at the same time really, and then I'm more helping her. Then handwriting without tears, we have each of them can do a page completely independent, and I have them skip their handwriting without tears page when we do copy work because that's just a lot of writing, I think, for them. And my 3rd grader has one additional daily thing that we do together all about spelling. We keep it really short, basically 10 minutes. There are not like lessons that you can finish in a day. And so we just do 10 minutes of the next thing in the teacher's guide. So he does that with me, and my second grader is off playing with my kindergartner or doing whatever they want. And so the next thing that they also do each day is silent reading. My third grader, he does this on his own. I never have to remind him. He reads so much every day. My second grader, she does not yet really pick up books for fun. And so for her, what I ask her to do each day is 15 minutes of silent reading. And we have a little glass timer, a sand timer. It's really, easy to see, and she can flip that and do her silent reading time. Here's a look at my second grader sheet. It looks identical to my third grader sheet, except for she does not have, like I said, any spelling. Here's a look at my kindergartner's sheet, and it is really just a rough outline for me to know exactly what I want to do with him each day. And same kind of thing, 9 o'clock, we all come into the living room. I do expect and ask all the kids to stay in the living room with me, even him. But he still is, he just turned 6. And so he's like, his attention span is still very short. And so, he's playing with something or building a fort or putting some magnet tiles up together while I'm reading. And the main thing, like, I do feel like when we are reading out loud, that I want him to pay attention to is our Bible story. And I don't really worry if he is in the room or paying attention while I'm doing like any of the other reading out loud, like our chapter book. If he hears and he's interested in what we're reading, great. But they're older kid books, and I understand he's kind of off in his own world playing. And so what I've added to his sheet that is different than the others, and this is kind of just for me to keep track of up here, is I've added that he has 1 to 2 picture books every day that I read to him out loud. Now this is mainly for me to be accountable to read to him every day. We do a little math lesson, like I said. We use right now for him Math with Confidence level K, and then we do half a reading lesson from Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And that's been working really well. I'd say 10 to 15 minutes, and then he's toasted after that. So it's like, all right, go play. So if you are looking to kind of create a homeschool rhythm and you feel like you've got a lot of kids that you're juggling, I just highly recommend doing a brain dump of writing down everything that you want to do for each kiddo. Just handwrite it on a piece of paper. That's where I started. And, try to see, like, during your days, where do the breaks naturally fit in? And how many subjects can you cover before the kids are just like going bonkers and needing a break? Where are the subjects that you can do all together? And where are the subjects that you have to do one-on-one with each kid? And so for us, that just kind of like the morning time when we sit down and read our Bible, that naturally leads into like they're already in the room, they're already paying attention. We can do a lot in that time frame. And then I kind of feel like, okay, if the day just goes totally terrible and not how I thought it would, and we're not getting anything done, I feel like we kind of got the most important stuff to me done in the morning. Yeah, for us, that like together time just leads to like, okay, school's started, and so then we can go to the next thing and the next thing. And there's some days where we finish before lunchtime. Some days, we'll just get some of that stuff done in the morning, eat lunch, and then we'll do some of the one-on-one stuff in the afternoon. And it really just depends. Like, I don't have a set thing that's like perfect for us yet, but ideally I think 2 to 3 hours is kind of my benchmark of like, we should be able to fit everything that we're doing in like 3 hours. And especially since they're combined for so many things. So one last thing I wanted to point out that isn't really on this schedule right now is when we fit in our creative writing program called Partnership Writing. And I originally kind of had like 1 day a week where I would do that for our language arts time. And for some reason that just really wasn't working well. And so what I found works well for us, and this might not be for you guys, but one of the things that I like doing is that when we start a writing project, and we've done some really fun ones and we've done some flops too, but when we start it, it's kind of like we're in it and we want to do that every day until it's done, and then we're burnt out and don't want to do anymore for a while. Generally, we do a writing project in lieu of the language arts time, and that will kind of just be like over the course of the week. So I will still like read our read aloud books when we're doing writing, but I do kind of one or the other. So that just helps us to do a bunch of one thing at one time and then switch gears and do another thing. Same with history and science. I was doing like Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday type of thing, and it was just bouncy. It was too back and forth. And so what we've kind of done is we've done, a full book of the Gather Round history. Usually that's around, 1 to 2 months. And then we'll take a break and we'll do some nature study unit studies. And that's kind of our science that we tie in there. And so I like doing flip-flop for that. So there's just less subjects to cover each day, but then we can end up covering it all still. So if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and let me know if you have any suggestions or comments. I'd love to hear like how your homeschool day looks and just routines and rhythms that work really well. So thanks so much, and be sure to check out a few of the other videos that I will put in the description that I mentioned earlier.